Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Say More podcast with your co host, Phoebe Hagen. And we're back here for another solo session. And I'm excited to be back. Obviously, we had the podcast before with Jasmine Gonzalez, and that was absolutely incredible. And we've got a few other guests lined up the next kind of couple of weeks. I think what I'm going to try and do is do it so you pretty much will hear from a guest every other week. So a lot of you have been really enjoying the guests and hearing from just other people because ultimately, this podcast, I don't want it to be like, I don't know. I don't want it to be scripted or structured or specifically talking about, I guess, something, but like I want it to just have a free flow conversation, get to know the person that I'm talking to, and just, I don't know, get them to open up, be vulnerable, because that's what this podcast I feel is all about, like being vulnerable, opening up to their experiences and just sharing what they've gone through, how they've got to, through their journey, all that type of thing. So yeah, if you have any guests that you're thinking about, you're like, oh my God, I'd love to hear from them or anything like that, comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, because I would love to know like who you would like to know from or speak, like hear from. And it doesn't have to be like a bikini Olympian. It could be anyone. Like I want it to be someone that you're just interested in hearing from. And actually, if you have any people that you have in mind, comment down males you would like to speak, like you would like to have on the podcast, because obviously we've had one male. We had our first male, which was Gilco, but I'd love to know who you would like to hear in the industry from a male perspective. I mean, it could be literally anyone, but someone that's interesting that you want to know their journey, all that type of thing that you'd like for me to interview them, let me know because I'd love to know. Anyway, oh my God, it's been a week. I feel like it's been a really good week. Like, obviously, if you don't know already, I feel like I keep going on about this and this is like my introduction at the moment. But for me, I've been burnt out. I've been tired, all that type of thing. If you're here before, you know. But I'm starting to get out of it and the weeks are starting to become a lot more like productive, a lot more exciting. And I don't know, like it just feels that it's coming back, like, when you just are in a bit of a hole and you feel a little bit shit, and it feels like it never gets better. And you're like, cool, when is this actually going to feel like myself again? And this is this. The weeks are starting to feel like that, which is really, really nice. Like I said that in my last podcast, in my last solo podcast before. And it just feels nice when that starts to come back because it's not forced. It's not, oh, I have to feel a certain way. You're just waking up excited to do all these things. And this is this that bring you joy without forcing it, without having to think about it. So it feels really nice to have that again because I was worried. I didn't know when that was going to come back. And I didn't know like what I'd had to do or have to do to try and get that to just come back. Like I had a conversation with a client, not a client, sorry, someone that reached out to me on Instagram that mentioned that they're going through something similar, but they don't want to have to force new things to find that spark again, which is actually very true. So for me, obviously, I haven't tried new things, I guess, but I've done things that I haven't. Well, yeah, I have tried new things. I've done things that I haven't done before, obviously. So I have tried new things, but I also have done them previously before. So like when I did cheerleading, I did a lot of functional training. We did a lot of cardio-based workouts and all that type of thing. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I remember in cheer, actually, we used to that was like our homework. I would say like we used to have to like go on runs when we were working towards going to like the big competitions. We'd have to get our cardiovascular fitness up. So we'd go on runs and all that type of thing. So and actually something that became really, really apparent. I've digressed like 3 times within this one little conversation, but I promise I'll divert back. I realized why I feel so connected to running. I don't know why I felt so connected to running recently. I've now started picking up doing running 3 days a week. I love doing it. It's all I want to do and I want to get good at it. And I don't know why that came out of nowhere. And it's not out of nowhere. My mum used to run. My mum used to run, like I'm talking, this woman was a marathon runner consistently. She would go, I think she ran, I don't know how many marathons she ran, but I want to say at least at least 3 marathons. Like, she's done at least 3 in her lifetime. So if you guys don't know, my mum passed away about almost 10 years ago now, which is crazy. But I like to be very open and honest about her passing, because I know a lot of people probably have gone through something very, very similar. And it just clicked. And I know she used to do that, but like, it never like clicked fully, where I was like, oh, I love doing training. I enjoy doing this. Why do I like doing it so much? And it's not like I feel connected to her, but I just enjoy that high. And it kind of does feel like I'm running, alongside with her. And like when I have either music on, or I'm just kind of like running without music, I think about her, and it feels really nice. Like, it's a nice feeling. So yeah, it just helps me stay connected with her in a nice way, but it also feels good for my own body and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the point that I was talking about before. Someone reached out to me and said, I don't want to have to always start something new to try and find, my way back to my actual original passion, which is tough because, one, in this economy, like, we can't afford to try something new every time we, don't feel that spark there. And also, like, you want to love bodybuilding for what it is, or whatever your passion is. You want to love that passion without having to force it or feel burnt out from it. And you don't have to want to then digress from then doing something else or trying something new to then get that love again, if that makes sense. So, and I was like, I don't know how to actually answer that, to be fair. Like, I don't know what to say to that, because I don't have the answer. Like, every time I felt burnt out, I've either done one or two things. I've either stepped away to give myself space and time to feel that passion and love and drive again, or I've tried something new. And if you don't want to do either of those things, what do you do? So, I mean, if anyone has any suggestions, please comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, because that would actually, it's true. I haven't figured it out yet. Like, I don't think a lot of people kind of have. Like, what do you do in that situation where you have so much love and passion for something, but you don't want to give it up, but you also know that's the root of the problem, So, and sometimes it is that hard reality. You have to do things that you don't want to do to then get to where you want to be. Again, that's that sacrifice. And it comes two ways with getting what you want, and all that type of thing. So yeah, let me know. I want to know, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, I had a busy week. And like I said before, the weeks have been starting to feel a lot more exciting. It feels more structure. Like, it just I get that passion to like, oh, I'm excited for this day because I'm doing this, or I'm excited for this day because I'm doing that. And at the moment, what I'm doing with my training, which I discussed on my YouTube, on one of my vlogs, but what I'm doing with my training at the moment is I've got basically 3 weight training, resistant training sessions a week. And that includes 2 lower body sessions. So that will be a full body leg session with quads, glutes, hamstrings, the whole lot. And then just a glute or hamstring day, probably maybe just a glutes day. So focus on like accessories and all that type of thing. And like, obviously still heavy lifting, yes, but my main heavy lifting session is the full leg day. Because we technically don't really need to grow my glutes anymore. But we obviously don't want to just not train, like strength train. And then 1 full upper body session, because again, we don't need to fully build like a big back or big shoulders or arms or anything like that. We just need to maintain the size that we have and make sure that stays when I get lean. So those are my 3 resistance training sessions a week. And then we've got, which sounds a bit crazy, we've got 3 runs a week, and we've got 2 functional classes a week, and then we've got 2 stretch sessions a week as well, which surprisingly is like, oh my God, Phoebe, that sounds like a lot. Like, what the fuck? But it actually isn't that much. So I do my runs and the class. So I do a class in the morning, and it's a functional training class in the morning. And then we do maybe a 3K run post class. And then we do a stretch session after that. So we do 3 things pretty much that day. We take a Tuesday and Thursday out of the week, and we'll pretty much be at the gym from about 7 a.m. all the way till about 12 doing those 3 things. And it's really nice because I can just kind of switch off and get those things done that I want to do. And yes, it seems like a lot, it seems excessive, but it's something I really enjoy, and I'm actually really looking forward to like going and doing those sessions. So I'm kind of like, why not? Also, I found that the running has actually helped, obviously, bring up my cardiovascular fitness, but also bring down body fat, bring down my legs a little bit, because I wanted to bring down my legs a little bit as well. Because I do feel like, yes, they're shaping very nicely, but they are big. So I want to make sure that we're not getting away from the category too much, where I don't want to build up my legs too much with, strength training sessions, or try and actually bring down my body fat a little bit more on my lower body, because that's where I hold all my body fat, or a lot of my body fat. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what my training schedule kind of, I guess, consists of. And it's been really exciting. It's just been nice. And it's new. And this is kind of the subject, I guess, I wanted to talk about today, is like new beginnings and just doing things new in general, because I'm very much like, this year for me has been the year of new beginnings. Like, I've got a new coach. I've done something, something that hasn't really happened to me before. Being burnt out is very new to me, how to handle it. There's also a lot of other personal situations that I've had to deal with and go through, very new to me. So there's a lot of things I feel that I've done that are very new. And sometimes it can be overwhelming when there's new beginnings, new starts, learning how to do new things. And that's what I wanted to talk about within today's kind of, I guess, episode, and just how I've navigated it, I guess, because like I said before, reverting back to what I said previously, when I just kind of just express how I feel and being like, I feel vulnerable, I feel this, so many people again are like, I relate to you. How did you get through it? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, when I actually sit down and think about it, in the moment, I'm like, I don't know how I got through it. I don't know what I did. But when I actually sit down and think about it, I'm like, okay, these are the things that actually I see that I did to make sure that, I didn't lose my fucking shit trying to, do things that are new and make sure that they're, worth actually doing. Because again, with the hard thing is with new beginnings or new things or trying new things is you don't know the outcome sometimes. You've seen how other people's outcomes will happen. So for example, running, like I started running because I was like, cool, I want to try and do something new. This is something I wanted to try and get better at. Let's see how it goes. And I could have, again, this isn't a literal thing, but I could have lost all my muscle, and it could have, set me back a lot of my results for, bodybuilding, all that type of thing. But I also needed to learn how to get better at it, to how to maintain my muscle, how to do this, how to do that. So it's not like, oh, I can't do this thing because I think this is going to happen. It could actually be the best thing to happen for you, but you're just worried of doing it. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm kind of, I guess, here to guide you through new beginnings, give you some tips and tricks on what you can, I guess, I say do. Like, again, this podcast isn't you need to do this and this is going to help you. It's a case of, this is what I've experienced. This is how I got through it. If this helps you, amazing. If it doesn't, also cool, So when trying new things, you have to be open. You have to be open. I feel like as an entrepreneur, which is weird, I say entrepreneur, but I am an entrepreneur. I find it very hard to do things that I'm bad at. Like, if you think about it, I thought about this earlier. I have done bodybuilding for 9 years, and I wasn't good at the start, but obviously I got into training and learned, and I was very like that. The mindset I had was very open. I'm excited and, excited to learn new things. This is this, all that type of thing. Now I've gained that knowledge and I had those experiences, all that type of thing. I kind of know what works for me, what's best for me, all that type of thing. So I know my recipe, if that makes sense. Now, trying something new, I have to figure out what the recipe is for me. Again, so for example, functional training and running. I'm just going to use that as an example because that's what my new thing is. I'm not good at it now. Like, I am good and I enjoy it and I'm okay. I am average, but I'm not great at it. There's still a lot that I need to learn. to make sure that I can progress and get better at it. And that's hard for me. Like, I don't like doing things over and over again that I'm not good at. Like, it sucks. Like, we go to these classes. Also, when I say we, I'm talking about one of my friends, Steph. We've decided we're calling it, what do we call it? We're training for an apocalypse. For some reason, we've picked up, obviously, like we said, we've picked up running, we've picked up functional training, we want to do bodybuilding. We want to just become the fittest versions of ourselves for some reason. So we call it, we're training for an apocalypse. So when I say we, that's who I'm referring to. So when me and Steph do these classes, we are like, most of the time it's in pairs, or it's in a group of 3, or most of the times it's in pairs. So it's me and her together, which is great. But obviously there's other people that are more advanced in those classes that are better than us at doing these things. And usually it's like circuits and you do them. And obviously it's not the first person to finish it. It's usually like an AMRAP, or you do it as many times as you can until the time's up, all that type of thing. But we are always at the bottom. We're either always last, second to last, or we're the slowest. So, and that's annoying as fuck, because for me, I like to be competitive. I like to win. I like to do things I'm good at. And for me, I've got to the point in my career in bodybuilding that don't get me wrong, I'm not always first. I'm not always winning, but I kind of have reached a level where I'm at my top, And when you're at the bottom, it sucks. Like, it's not fun. I don't like it. It's not enjoyable. And as an entrepreneur, I feel like that's one of the reasons why, is because you do the things you're good at. And don't get me wrong, entrepreneurs, obviously, you do the things you're good at, but you're also open to learning. But also, you know your strengths and you play towards them. And I think as athletes as well, it's easy to play into your strengths and only do what you're good at and only know what you're good at. Versus sometimes you have to step back, take a step back from your ego and be like, hey, I'm rubbish at this, but to get better, I need to continuously do this and continuously be rubbish at it until I get better. So just shut the fuck up and have your mind open to just trying something new, trying something different. And that's hard. It really is hard. So you have to have an open mindset to starting new beginnings, doing different things. And also it's down to habits as well. So like, the more you do things over and over again, the habits you create, whether they be good or bad, hopefully the good habits override the bad habits, and you can then consistently get better at things. And that for me, it took a while to get used to. So when you're doing it with someone, sometimes it feels easier. So with me and Steph, it's nice to be shit at something together. So my main tip is, if you can do something with someone and it's new, so for example, bodybuilding, and you're wanting to get in, doing a show, you want to be better at a show. That doesn't make sense. Be better at bodybuilding and do shows consistently. Try and find a training partner. Try and find someone that is on the same journey as you and can connect with that, because then that's going to help you kind of want to do these things more. And it's exciting to talk about with them, because all you want to talk about is that certain thing, So it's exciting to talk about your passion, talk about the new hobby, and also bounce ideas off each other and how you can get better. Like, all the conversations we have are about how we can get better at running, what we need to do about, getting our functional fitness up, all that type of thing. And it's nice because it's new and we're open to learning and we're open to being shit at something at the beginning, but we're happy to get better at it, which is going to happen in everything. And I feel like I've seen this loads where people get success quickly without having that kind of, I was bad at something first. Like, sometimes I see people that are good at bodybuilding, for example, like right at the beginning, right from the bat, they've done like one show or a couple of shows, they're pro, and then they get really good at it really quickly. Now, I'm not saying that they don't get success or they don't keep that success, but I've also seen a lot of the times when they are good at something, sometimes they're not open to learning because they're like, oh, this thing got me here, so I'm just going to keep doing this thing. And they don't allow their minds to be open to trying different things for them to even get better at this passion, if that makes sense. So you have to be open. But then also, equally, my next thing is try and also go at your own level and don't always listen to what other people kind of have to say all the time. Because one thing that I found within my bodybuilding journey, but also the journey I'm on now with like functional training, all that type of thing, is I get so wrapped up into listening what other people have to do and just going at my own, I'm being comfortable at my own pace. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to get super comfortable where we're just like, cool, we're just going to stay here. But I was very much like, right, they're telling me to go, I need to go this pace for running, but I'm actually slower than that. So I'm going to need to take it even slower because I'm still really bad at this. So I need to kind of take it a little bit slower, you know? Versus if I was just to listen and say, you need to push really hard, you need to do this, it's not enjoyable. It's not building yourself up. It's just jumping into the deep end. And don't get me wrong, that's also good as well. But with things that I find you're new at, I find slow and steady wins the race every single time, and it will keep the longevity there as well. So say, for example, you find something really, really hard at the beginning, you don't want to do it over and over again. Like if it's really, really hard and you're not enjoying it and it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it. If you can slowly bring your pace up or bring things in, you're like, okay, cool. This week we improved on this. Now let's do this. This week we done this. Now let's improve this. Like it's a slow and steady race. And also, what race are you running? You know, you have time to be able to get better at things. Unless you set yourself a goal of, okay, I need to be, you know, I don't know, a marathon runner by the end of the 2024, and I've only just started running in November, then yeah, you might have to get a move on. But at the same time, you have time to get better at these things. Don't rush and think, oh, I need to do this. Because I remember I did this when I started running. I went off. Like I'm a quick runner, but I fatigue quick as well. So I can't hold stamina for very, very long if I go really, really fast at the moment. So I'm building that up, but I used to not even be able to run like a 3K or a 5K at once because I would just be on the gas at the beginning and be like, cool, let's run as fast as we can at the beginning. And then I'm gassed like 5 minutes in, and that's not helpful. You know, that's not going to allow you to progress. Whereas now I now understand pace. I now understand what I need to do to like keep my longevity there and endurance and all that type of thing. And anyway, but this is what I'm talking about. Go at your own pace. There's no one, you don't have to listen to everyone. It's the same as bodybuilding. Have yourself one specific person to listen to or one specific thing to listen to, and obviously go at that pace as well. I know sometimes the advice, I just realized that advice kind of contradicts the first thing, which was obviously be open-minded, but don't be too open-minded to the point where it's like, cool, now I just have to listen to everything. Because I feel like this world that we live in now, we have way too much information and sometimes it's fucking overwhelming. So listen to what you feel like you need to do and go from there. That's what it comes down to, honestly. So yes, embrace having an open mind, having an open mindset. Gradually build up your goals and don't start huge and end tiny. Start small, build up gradually. I feel like for me, that's always been the best way, and it becomes the most enjoyable, most enjoyable thing moving forwards. I took a big pause there because I'm kind of like, this one is funny because for me, again, it comes down to being whatever. Practice consistency over perfection. Now, yes, you want to get better at things and, you're going to do the things to make it perfect, of course. But at the same time, don't think that it needs to be perfect every time or I'm not doing it, because there's been so many times where conditions maybe haven't been perfect, so I haven't done this one thing. So for example, okay, I don't know why I'm using running. I should really use something else. So bodybuilding, for example. Bodybuilding is a bit of a tough one, but so say for example, you're a newbie with competing. You're wanting to step on stage and you're waiting for the right time. In my opinion, sometimes you will be waiting forever. And unless you kind of just say, let's just consistently do this thing, get it done, learn what I need to learn, and then do it. It might not be perfect. The prep might not be perfect, but you can have the tools behind you to make it perfect. So do your research, figure out obviously what category you want to be in, obviously to start off with, learn about the criteria, learn about the sport, learn about what it's about. Is it something you want to do? Let's do it. Let's get it done. Let's consistently now be adherent to either your diet, your training, whatever that may be, until we step on stage. It may not be perfect. It may not be 100%, but we're being consistent and we're going to learn from our mistakes, or not even mistakes, but things that we do along this journey to get to a better position as before. Because I feel like with new beginnings, you're never going to be perfect. Like if I was to say to you that my first prep was perfect, would be absolute bullshit. Like, and I also don't believe in your first ever prep was perfect. Like no one's first ever prep is perfect. There's always something to learn. There's always something that you can be better at. And that goes with anything. That's not bodybuilding. That's not running. That's like anything within your career. You're not going to be perfect at it from the beginning. So you need to get rid of that mentality of it needs to be perfect or else I'm not doing it. Because for me, that stopped me from doing so many things that I really didn't need to, delay myself from doing. For example, again, running example, but running, I felt like, okay, I need to make sure that I feel, refreshed, and I need to be this, and I need to make sure I'm hydrated, and this is this. Sometimes you just need to go for a run. Just go for a run. It could be a 2K or a 3K or whatever it may be. Just go for a run, figure out where you want to go, whatever it may be. And then, okay, how was that run? You then assess what needs to be. It's the exact same when you step on stage. It may not be perfect. Your posing may not be perfect. You may not be in perfect condition. But then you review and you go back, you get the judges' feedback, and you're like, okay, what can we do to make it better? I feel like practice makes perfect is very much the phrase of this tip or this advice, because it's not perfect at the beginning, basically. Because I think sometimes having that mentality of I'm not going to step on stage until I am in perfect this, you're going to be waiting for ages. Sometimes the perfect time never comes. Don't get me wrong, you can be in a better position. So I'm not saying, I've never trained before, I've never done this before, but I'm going to step on stage. Obviously that's maybe a little bit extreme, but if you're thinking about competing, you're thinking about wanting to do it, but you feel like, oh, I don't know, get yourself to do it, see how it feels, get yourself more knowledge about the sport, and then go from there. Like, I feel like I don't know if I'm just rambling now, but basically practice makes perfect. And I think that trying to get rid of this perfect mentality of everything needs to be perfect before I even try this one thing, it's going to delay you more than you think. And sometimes you just need to go and do, So tracking your progress and celebrating your wins, because we can all, I have no doubt that we can all relate to celebrating your small wins that feel so small, because you've seen someone else, their goals, or they've surpassed that goal and it's so much bigger. So say, for example, I remember at this one show I did when I first started competing, so maybe in like 2017, I think it was the first show of 2017 I did. So I started competing in 2016. And so it was my second year of competing. And I remember I was trying to get the invite for the British finals. And, I was trying. And like, it just wasn't happening. There was a lot of feedback that I needed to get done and all this type of thing. And whilst that was happening, a lot of my friends, sorry. Whilst that was happening, a lot of my friends had already gotten the British finals invite. So then when I got my British finals invite, I remember not celebrating it as much, because I was like, well, everyone else kind of has it, so it's not that big a deal. It is a big deal. Like I was waiting for that moment. I was waiting for my right time to happen. I was taking in the judges' feedback, progressing. And then I finally got my goal and I was like, amazing. But for me, I was like, oh, everyone else already has it. So like, it's not that big a deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. It's the same as like when I did running. I remember when I hit 5K without stopping for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe I did that. So happy. But then I kind of was like, oh, it's only 5K. People have done that before. Like a lot of people that I know that are, started at the same time as me, they've already done 5K. Who cares? It's your goal. Like it doesn't matter who's done it first, or like the progress that anyone else has done before you. It's your progress, and you should be celebrating the things that you've done within your journey and not making them insignificant because someone else has done it first, you know? And that's sometimes hard as well because you feel like, oh, everyone else has done it, so my goal's not that big. Whereas actually, everyone's journey is different. I think we should always celebrate our wins, regardless how big or small they may feel. Always celebrate them because then it makes you excited to then continue to keep progressing. Because again, from what I've experienced just this year, I remember again when I got top 5 at the Arnold's this year at the US Arnold's. 2 years prior, in 2022, I got 9th place out of 10. This year, I got 5th place out of 10. That's an amazing achievement, and I should be so, so proud of that. But for me, I expected more. I wanted to, get into the top 3, maybe to potentially to win. And for me, I was like, oh, top 5's not that good. Top 5 at the Arnold's US. Yes, it fucking is, Phoebe. What are you talking about? Like, why is it not that good? Like, I think sometimes we really do push our wins down because other people have and it's not because, and other people aren't the issue. It's us. We're the problem. We're the issue because we create these things on our minds that make our goals less significant when they really shouldn't be. And I'm not speaking that because I've heard someone else go through that. I'm literally that. I am the problem. I've had that, when we reach for the stars and we have this huge goal in mind, the small steps along the way aren't anything big to us when they actually should be. The small victories deserve recognition as well. So yeah, I think you should definitely celebrate your wins, track your progress, because then when you do hit that, small win milestone, you can actually be like, okay, cool. Like, this is amazing. Like, we're actually doing something and, doing something new, may I add, we're doing something new and we're progressing at it. And that's amazing. And I think that shouldn't be short-lived, So, okay. Next one is be prepared for challenges, because again, you're not going to be good at something when you first start. It's not, and you're going to want to give up. You're not going to want to continuously be shit at something. Like I was with running, I really didn't want to continue doing it. And even still now, every single week, I get on that treadmill or I go, on our outside run and I'm like, oh, God, it's going to be awful because I'm so slow. I'm this, I'm whatever. But by the time I ended it and I track my progress and I've looked and, done what I said before, it makes me so happy that I actually continued to do that. And remember, it doesn't matter if I had a setback, or it doesn't matter if, it feels hard right now, because that's temporary and it's going to get better the more I practice it. It's the same with posing. It's the same with getting on stage. You're going to get better the more you do it. So why would you stop at the first hurdle? Being resilient is hard. It's really, really hard, because you don't want to be continuously bad at something and have that feeling continuously play over and over. You want to just stick to the things you're good at, but at the same time, you're going to have a whole collection of things you're better at and more lessons. The thing is, I feel like the hilarious thing is, when you're bad at something, I think sometimes the old Phoebe would go back and be like, actually, no, I say that the old Phoebe was she was very resilient. She was very much like, no, you have to keep going. Don't be a pussy and stop now. You have to get better at this one thing. And I'm still like that now, but I think sometimes I do forget how resilient I used to be. So I do just succumb to, oh, I used to be good. I used to be like that. I used to be so resilient. I'm only good at this now, so I'm going to stick to this. I'm not used to challenging myself as often because I'm at the top, which is, I say at the top or near the top of my journey, which is crazy because that shouldn't stop me. I shouldn't stop challenging myself or stop being resilient because I'm at the top. Does that make sense? And it's weird that that just came out because I've never actually said that out loud before, but it's very easy to have that mindset of like, oh, it's fine. I'm good at what I do. I'm this, but no, you need to stay on top of your game. to become even better, you know? And that's hard. Again, it's exhausting. And that's why I've had this mentality, you know, of burnt out the last couple of months. And you have to know when to be resilient and when not to be resilient, when to have a break, when to, you know, take time away to kind of give yourself time and all that type of thing. But that's another story for another situation. But like I said, be prepared for challenges and stay resilient with your new thing, your new beginning that you're wanting to either get better at or, well, yeah, just get better at, pretty much. And the last final thing that I wrote down is please just enjoy it, because I have enjoyed my journey in becoming fitter, and my mindset towards it is literally something I'm going to take into my next couple of reps, because I do think that this mindset matters a lot, is enjoy and focus on enjoyment and reflect on what you've done. Because I think for me, I'm always looking forwards how I can be better. Of course, that's what we want to do, but I'm always like, right, I need to be better. I need to do this. It's a very, I don't want to use masculine as the word, but it kind of feels like a very masculine energy of not enjoying your process, not feeling like you've achieved these achievements and reflecting back on what you've just done, just only looking on forwards. So my last final tip is literally please enjoy yourself, because when you do things and new beginnings come about, you want to do them because they fill up your cup. They're exciting to you and they're enjoyable, and you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this one thing like that. And can you just like, I want you to like close your eyes or like remember a time where you had that enjoyment. Like you were literally like so giddy, you're so excited to just get up out of bed and do this thing that you just love. And that could be, I don't know, it could be running, it could be training, it could be baking, it could be playing video games. I don't know. It could be something, but you're so excited to do this one thing because you're like, I just enjoy it so much. That's what you want when you have new beginnings. You want to be excited about it. You want to just be so like, I don't know, full of like, right, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to get better. I'm ready. That's what you want. And that's the mentality I used to have towards bodybuilding. And I think the more I put pressure on myself, and it's not, this isn't speaking from like any of my experiences and circumstances have only ever come from my own self. I'm not saying it was anyone else, but for me, I put pressure on myself way too much. I do things because I think that things need to be done a certain way. And actually, instead of just enjoying the process, being open-minded and just having fun, it becomes way more toxic than it needs to be. So with new beginnings, I beg you, please just enjoy the process, enjoy the journey of what you're doing, because it's such a beautiful thing being able to just wake up and be like, I'm so excited for this one thing that brings me so much joy. And that in itself makes me want to stick to it even more, you know, like it will make the journey easier because you're like, I want to do this. And that's what I've been saying to you guys for the last, you know, couple of months, is the journey towards anything needs to be fun and enjoyable. Obviously, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be fun and enjoyable all the time because I'm not in fairyland, and it's not going to be fun and games all the time. But you want to try and make sure that majority of the time you're enjoying yourself. It's challenging you in the way that you like to be challenged versus I don't want to do this anymore, you know? So, but yeah, that's my thoughts, feelings, all that type of thing with new beginnings. And just trying new things in general, because I think it's so, like I said, it's so, I say under talked about, it's not talked about, but new things that we want to try. Sometimes I spoke to so many people, like I said, when I open up and stuff, and people are like, I'm scared to do this thing because I'm bad at it. And I'm like, that's the point. The main thing is you're going to get better at it. And it's going to be so exciting when you do become even better than before. So that's the hard part. There's no easy part, but like I said, those couple of things that I mentioned, I hope obviously that can help you along your journey, because that's what we're here for on this podcast. We're here to make you better. We're here to understand that everyone's journey is very, very different. And, we go through our own struggles. Everyone goes through tough times and whatnot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and can relate. And if you do, please comment down below. And like I said, thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you rate us on Spotify if you're watching on there. Comment down below any guests that you want on, because I definitely want to start doing more guests. Hopefully Lauralie will be coming back very, very soon. So I'm very, very excited for that when that day comes. But like I said, we are giving her space for post Olympia and all that type of thing. She's doing absolutely amazing and I'm so proud of her. And yeah, we can't wait for her arrival. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.